karma to be successful, it requires effort, requires prayatnam, effort. It also requires a certain effort for a certain length of time called kala. So effort for a length of time. This all agree, everybody accepts. Who doesn't know that? Any human being who does karma knows I have to put effort, and not just for 5 minutes, I have to put effort for a minimum length of time. If I want that degree, then of course 12 years I have to study. If I want a job, then 3 months I should prepare, things like that. So time to a certain specific minimum duration, effort. That duration of time, effort, these two factors are very clear. Will you be successful in getting your karma? Well, when you say this, well, we don't know, we are unsure. Why? Because it's not 2 factors, it is 3 factors. 3 factors are to be taken into account for karma. What's the third factor? The third factor we call Daivam. Third factor is what we call Daivam, which is unknown to people, which this culture keeps talking about that. Even Ramana Maharshi in his Upadesha Saram, he begins his Upadesha Saram with this statement, Karturajñaya prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam. So it is by the will of the divine, by the law of karma, that you get your result. Okay? That means there is a divine support for every result of a karma. That is the unknown factor. There is divinity engaging himself with your result, which we never think. We always think it is my effort and my time put. But we don't understand that there is a third factor which is called Daivam, which is the grace. In English you can say it is the grace. And that Daivam is what connects the karma to this phalam. And therefore without the consent of that grace factor or Daivam factor, the karma cannot deliver its result. And so one who takes into account the grace that there is a third factor for my success, what will that person do? When he does karma, he will offer it to that grace. Now I did my part, you do your part, right? And when the result comes, he will say, thank you, you did your part. Any experience is coming as a result of my karma, therefore grace is working. Therefore, be graceful about it, that grace is working. So this is called karma yoga. While doing action, offering it to the divine, means now I leave it to you. I did my part, I leave it to you. This is called Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. And then you leave it to him. Now when he gives a result, Prasada Buddhi. I receive the result gracefully. These two attitudes, twofold attitudes is called Karma Yoga. Okay, this is Karma Yoga, and therefore Karma Yoga makes you aware of what is karma, what is karma phala, what is nature of Ishvara, Bhagavan, how law of karma works, how he is a witness to your activity, and how the laws deliver, how he participates. Therefore the Lord is called Karmadhyaksha, means the one who is a witness to karma, change, movement, action. And Karma Phala Data, he also is a giver of the result of action. So this understanding, this education in this is Bhagavad Gita. So in the Karma Yoga topics of the Bhagavad Gita, we learn about all of this. We get exposed to this. Is a very important key, It is the baseline from where I take off. And once this understanding is there, naturally Karma Yoga will lead to Bhakti. Because without the divine, you don't move in your life, you find out. Every action is connected to the divine because of Daivam, grace, third factor. And therefore, this understanding and the life invokes this sentiment, the deep sentiment, the hidden or the latent sentiment called bhakti or devotion. And therefore, it leads to what? Bhakti Yoga Sadhana. Bhakti Yoga Sadhana. This is the sadhana. So, Karma Yoga is essential. What? Bhakti Yoga is not essential? Which one do you prefer? Hey, don't ask silly questions. I need both. And so, Bhakti Yoga is a sadhana that we need to know. And what is Bhakti Yoga? So, Bhakti Yoga is a sentiment. Whenever you talk about Bhakti Yoga, it is not a one emotion, It is a various emotions together. In Bhakti, it's about many emotions coming together towards that altar. And therefore, when you are working with your sentiment, you cannot use your volition. In other words, you can do karma, you cannot do bhakti. Oh, Ammaji, I do bhakti, I sing bhajan every day. Bhakti is not an action. You need not do bhajan every day, but you can still be a devotee, bhakta. Because Bhakti Yoga is not a particular action connected, it is a attitude that we are looking at over here. And therefore, it is not activity. There is something called Bhakti Yoga is a relationship that you form with the infinite being that grows and matures over time. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes Bhakti Yoga as a process. Any relationship is dynamic, even in ordinary relationship, how you relate to a person when you first get to know them and the same person after 5 years, it's always dynamic. So is the relationship with the divine is dynamic. So dynamic means what? Means it grows, it deepens, it stabilizes, it takes deeper, bigger turns, in intimacy, in bonding with the Lord, or depending on your own growth and maturity. And therefore, Lord Krishna says, a devotee may be in 4 different stages. Chaturvidha bhajante mam, ye janaha sukrito Arjuna, artho jignasu artharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. He says, everybody connects to me. There are people who are my devotees, bhaktas. They start by remembering me only when they are in trouble, Those are the one type of devotee, which is many people are like that. Only when in trouble, you go to the temple or a church or whatever. And so, he says, no. So that the devotion is there. When a person is not that mature, it will only stay with a distress call. God is called only where there is distress. Then in growth and little more maturity, it becomes a call to become a business partner. I am about to do this, come on, you also participate. So you bless me, you remain with me in my new business, and I will also give you every month to your church, I will deposit this much amount. This is called making God your business partner. So artharthi, this is a growth from negative approach to positive. And then he was such a good partner I had that my business is ever booming. Okay, you did a good decision, you included him. But now I am still not happy. I feel with all this gain, money, power, business, everything is fine. But I want to know who is this business partner? What is it that, how he does things? How he has been so much part of my life? How I have been blessed with so much? Where am I going with my life? And this person now wants to know more about whom he called his business partner, the divine, and so he wants to know him. And this anxiety to know him, this call to know him, he is now a new maturity has emerged, and he is called a Jignasu Bhakta. In the English language we call him a spiritual seeker, a seeker, seeker of truth. And his seeking takes him to newer dimensions. His seeking of the infinite takes him within, and finally, when he reaches his abode, when he discovers whom he sought was not ever away from him. In fact, the seeker really was the sought after. And until he surrendered, until he dropped the seeking, he would never have been able to discover the sought. And therefore now he discovers who the infinite being is, not away from himself. And that fourth type of devotee is a wise person or a jnani bhakta. And so in this journey of maturity and evolution, a time comes, where his very way of relating, earlier he related to the infinite being in one image, maybe in a cross or in a om or in a form, a human form, or in a tree or in a mountain, in a river, relate to the infinite being whichever way. It may be connected to a human image or it may be connected to nature, but it is still connected to one. And as he evolves, that one he sees in many. So Eka Rupa Bhakti becomes Aneka Rupa Bhakti. Multi forms, he sees his divine in everything. And that seeing the very world of forms as the divine is called Vishwarupa Darshanam. And Lord Krishna shows his Vishwarupa, the form of the universe is nothing other than the infinite being. And that is that dimension Arjuna is blessed to see and revealed in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And with that, then finally, as this Arjuna seeks, he is now a seeker, he has become a disciple, and he wants to further grow and find out. So now what does he do? Now he goes to a guru. And why? Because now he is ready, his bhakti has matured so much that he wants Jnana Yoga. He wants knowledge. And so the knowledge, Lord Krishna gives him this unique knowledge for self-awakening. And so in the 7th chapter you find Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyamya sheshataha yajñatva neha bhuyonyate jnatavyam avashishyate. This knowledge is so unique that once you know, you are given this knowledge, there is nothing else left to be known. So everything is complete. And why? Because this knowledge, he is the one who is, how do you know? What are the steps of this knowledge? Steps of this knowledge is, first is separate Deha Vyatirikta Atma. The steps in this knowledge is separate matter from consciousness. So Atma, which is other than the body mind sense complex, is called Deha Vyatirikta Atma. And so that is the step number 1. And 2nd chapter elaborates on this step. Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipaha nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra na mukhyati. And so here he shows that the self is not subject to birth and death. Birth and death is the quality only of the physical body, not of the Atma. This is made very clear. And so birth, death is the cycle of life. And it remains in this cycle until some grace comes in your life and you're given an opportunity to discover your truth and be free from the cycle of birth and death. And that is the message. And in the process also, he describes the nature of the universe and its source. So the second half of the Gita, the chapter 7 to 12, the middle portion describes the universe and its source. Its source is where? Its material source and non-material source both are Ishvara. We call the material source as the lower cause or Prakriti, and the higher cause is Purusha or the conscious being. So the conscious being and matter combined make the creation, and matter is the lower source, lower power, and consciousness is the higher. So Purusha and Prakriti both are needed for creation to exist. And so that is described in those middle portion. So in chapter 9 and 10, these descriptions are given when he teaches Jnana Yoga. And so he says, Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrjamyaham. He says, and this birth and death is not only in one creation, there are many births and deaths. The creation itself undergoes dissolution and again comes back, again dissolves. So the time is not to be calculated only in terms of 1 year or 100 years. It is infinite flow of time in which there is coming into being of life and going back and coming back and going back, and that is called the cyclic nature of creation. And in that he says all that that is born, exists and gone, all that happens from I, the consciousness. And so, aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha prakritim swam avashtabhya visrjami punah punaha bhutagramam imam kritsnam avasham prakriter vashat. So he says, from me everything is born, by me everything is sustained, into me everything resolves, and this is the nature of form and the formless. The form going back into unmanifest state. Manifest to unmanifest, manifest to unmanifest, it all happens because of the presence of consciousness, that is I. One who knows that will understand. As an individual also, when you dream, from sleep, you come out the world of forms, and you go back to unmanifest. There is no world of forms anymore. And so to dream, you can dream a dream world. Thoughts become the material for the dream world. And the thoughts resolve, the dream world resolves. And resolves where? Into I, the consciousness. So as it happens in the totality, so it happens in the individual level also. So we say, yatha brahmande tatha pindande. As it happens in the total, it happens in the individual. As it happens in the individual, so it happens in the total. And so, he says, oh, so are you always connected to the universe? Bhagavan says finally, no. I am not connected to the universe. The universe is in me. I transcend the universe also. I am a formless consciousness. So, form and I are not one. The form becomes resolved in me, from me it is born. And therefore, yatha kashasthita nityam vayu sarvatra gahmahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani tyupadharaya. May you know all that exists in me. I am above all that is. Like the snake exists in the rope. Does that mean that the rope cannot exist without snake? No. The snake exists in the rope, but rope exists even without the snake. And so that is the truth of Ishvara. And so in this manner, what are we doing here? We are recognizing that in the Jiva's journey, first entry point is Karma Yoga. From Karma to Karma Yoga, which takes you to be a Bhakta, Bhakti Yoga, which culminates in Jnana Yoga. And therefore, which one do you want? Silly. It is these steps, it is the graded evolution of your life, your existence, and therefore all three are essential. So the Jnani is a Bhakta and a Karma Yogi. A Karma Yogi is a Jnani and a Bhakta. A Bhakta is a Jnani and a Karma Yogi. All these three are interchangeable. They are basically the same person who is in the right brain sometimes in the left brain. And therefore, Karma, Bhakti, Jnanam, it is all part of one package of self-awakening.